Hey everybody, back with another video. Today we're going to be going over how to create win probability charts for NFL games. All the code will be available on GitHub if you wanted to take it and do something with it, or maybe just try and run it and create some charts like this. So I have a main.py file which we'll be running in the terminal here just to demonstrate, and I also have a Jupyter notebook which I'll be going over after line by line in the code just so you can see how it's working. So let's run this file. I made a typo there, so let's try this again. Okay, Python 3, we're going to run this file. First thing it's going to ask is what year we're concerned with, and I have a game in mind here. So I'm going to go 2018. The week was week 11. If you have a single digit week you're concerned with, you have to put a 0 in front. So if it's the first week, it's going to be 0, 1, and so on. So the away team was KC. So it has to be all caps and it has to be the team's actual abbreviation. So if you're not sure of that, I would just look it up. And the home team is LA Rams. And now it's going to crunch the numbers and put our chart together. So it only takes a few seconds, and this will work for any NFL game from 1999 onwards. That's when the data is available, so it'll work for any game in that time frame. So you can see this is our chart. On the x-axis, we have the number of time remaining in seconds. On the y-axis, we have each team's win probability. So the reason I chose this game is because it's one of the most exciting games I can think of. Very high scoring, back and forth. You can see each team's win probability jumping under and over 50%. I think this game actually went into overtime, but very exciting game. So that's the final product. You got the team logos and the legend here. So I think it's a cool looking visualization. So let's go line by line. I'll show you how I made this. So we start up here. This is the dependencies. These are the non-matplotlib dependencies. I kind of separated them out just because there's so many different matplotlib functions and classes that we need to use. So I kept those separate. So that's the dependencies. Let's run that. We're going to define the matchup parameters. So when you fill these in, we'll be using f strings throughout the code so that we don't have to type this in every time or rewrite the variables every time. So we'll run that. This right here, we're just like using this get logos.py file. I went over this in my last video. Essentially what's happening here is we're running this function, and then what this function is going to do is it's going to look to see if we have a logos file in our home directory here. If we don't, it's going to create one. It's going to pull the NFL data from the database and populate all of the team logo image files. And then it's going to create a data frame with these 3 columns. And the 3 columns here are team abbreviation. We're going to use this to join on our other data frames. The team logo, which is the URL to the team logo, which we use to save it. And lastly, the team color, which we'll use to create the charts, to color the lines in the charts. So I'm not going to go line by line here since I went over it already, but that's that. We'll run this. Next, we're going to load the play-by-play data. So this is the function we use for that, import play-by-play data. And here's our year variable, which we defined above. And you can load multiple years in here, but if you're doing that, it still has to be in a list. It can't just be the variable year or a number. Even if it's a single year, it has to be in a list. So there we go. Let's run this. And you can just see how expansive this data is. This is for 1 year. And there's almost 500,000 rows and almost 400 columns. So there's quite a bit of data here. We're only concerned with a few. So we're going to start by filtering down our data frame to specific game ID. So you can see here's the game ID column. This is kind of the format. And we're using an F string to filter on it. So first we're populating our year, then our week, then away team, then home team. So you can see the format up here. Once we filter the whole data frame onto that single game, we're going to just grab the columns we care about. So the first one is possession team. Second one is game seconds remaining, which will be our x-axis in our variable. Then the away win percentage and the home win percentage. So these are both calculated by the NFL. So I just like to use the official one. There's also a column for Vegas's win percentage if you think that might be more accurate. Next, we're going to rename this position team column to team abbreviation. And the reason we do that is because in our logo DF data frame, the team abbreviation column is written like this. So we need them to be the same. So when we join them, it works. So I'll run that. And then and then we'll join them here using the pd.merge function. We'll join our play-by-play data frame with our logo data frame. And you can see we have all the things we're concerned with here. The team, the time remaining, each team's win percentage, the logo path, and the team color. Next, we're going to define a couple of variables here. One being the away color. So we're filtering to where the team abbreviation is our away team, which we defined above. Then we're going to locate the first, using iLock, we're going to grab the first time that happens and get the team color. So I could just print this out real quick to demonstrate. So the away color is this, which is probably red since that's Kansas City. So there's that. We do the same thing for the home color, and then the same thing for the path where we find the reference to the team's logo. So I'll run that again. This next code block is somewhat complex. I actually linked to where I grabbed this from. I got it on Stack Overflow, but essentially what we're doing here is when we had those, if you saw in the legend of our chart, rather than having a word or the name of the column, we had the team's logo to represent which color line it was. So I'm not going to go line by line here because I don't fully understand this code. I just know it works. But this is defining a class to get that to work, get the image in the legend. So I'll run this. And also, yeah, like I said, I'll link this where I found this, give this person credit for their code. So lastly, this code block is handling all of our visualization parameters. So I like this style of chart, 538. If you look up Matplotlib styles online, you can see the various different kinds of chart styles they have. I just think this looks the cleanest. Next, we're going to define our figure size. 10 by 8 is good enough, in my opinion. We're using auto layouts. Then we'll define the subplots. The home line, so this variable we're defining here, home line, is all the parameters and the data we're using for the home team's win percentage line going up and down. So first parameter is the x-axis, game seconds remaining in this case. The y-axis is the away win percentage. The color, which we defined up here, is going to be the away team's color, and line width 3. I think that's thick enough for the chart. Same thing for the away team. X-axis game seconds. Actually, these are flipped, so I'll have to fix that afterwards. But anyway, we're going to define the title, again, using an F string. So it's going to be week, comma, year, dash, away team, at home team, win probabilities. So that's the way we handle that. We'll define our font size, the x-axis range, x-axis title, y-axis title, and then lastly we define our legend here. So if you wanted to make the legend, like the images, bigger or smaller, you would adjust the font size variable here. But we're calling our class here, and what we feed into this class is the path for the image logo. So again, these are flipped. I'll have to adjust that, but that's how you handle that and get the legend to populate the images. So, and lastly, the last thing we're going to do is invert the x-axis. So we want the time remaining to start at the highest point and end at 0. So by default, it's going to go 0 to the highest point, but that would be the flip of the reverse of how the game runs. So when we run this, we get our final product here. So that's the final product. Feel free to take this code, use it how you want. All right, thanks for watching.